my crafty space. In this video today, we are going to get started working on Mabel's baby albums for my Let's Finish What We Started video series. Today, I'm going to be working on 3 different layouts. I have the intro pages for her newborn stats. I have a story that's going to go in the newborn section. And then I also have the stats for her 1-month-old section. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Aside from the products that I've already pulled inside of these envelopes here, I am going to be using 3 different alphabet stamps or number stamps. This one is the Ali Edwards One Little Word Scripty stamp set in the 6x8 size. This I'm hoping to do a full stamped page, kind of like a filler page with words. This is the Paper Person Downtown numbers, and I'm going to use this one to stamp out the day she was born as an intro title. And then I'm going to be using this one throughout the album, the Max Outline stamp from Carrie Bradford Studio, to add in the titles on all of my stats pages, which you're going to see what that's going to look like today, since we're working on both the newborn one and the 1-month one. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this. I am going to speed you up because I'm working on 3 different layouts, and in order to save on time, so you're not here watching me forever, we'll speed you up and I'll voice over the top. So let's get started. All right, so getting started with the first couple pages here for the newborn section, I am going to take this blank piece of white cardstock, which I cut down to 3.875 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall. And I'm just going to use these huge number stamps to stamp out the date that Mabel was born, which was September 3rd, 2020, which also happened to be the release date for December Daily that year. So I was in the parking lot trying to order my supplies for December Daily that year at the same time as Mabel was being born, like exactly the same time as the release is when Mabel made her entrance into the world. It's kind of a crazy time. So to bring in some extra color, since this is going next to a page full of journaling and then a photo that's got a lot of really neutral tones in it, I decided to pull out some of my brighter colored Ali Edwards Crafters inks. I have Olympia is the teal color, Tillamook is the orange color, and Honeyman is the yellow. And then in between the dates, I put a little period, or it's not really little, but a period, which I used Otter Rock to stamp in between those, just to differentiate the different numbers. So we've got 9, 3, 20. But it felt a little too stark still for my taste. So then I pulled out this yellow and white grid washi that I purchased a while back. I believe it's from Studio Calico. They have a whole bunch of these. And I put a strip of it on each of the longer sides there and wrapped it around to the back. I feel like that helped to break up all of that white space and to give this just a little bit more color, a little bit more interest. For the 3x4 card, this card right here just says things like Mabel's full name, the hospital she was born at, her weight, her height, the time that she was born, all of those different first day, brand new newborn hospital stats. At the top, I was originally thinking of stamping the word welcome using those Carrie Bradford Studio alphabets. And what's really cool about those is you can layer them on top of each other because it's an outline and you're still able to see the word. But welcome was not going to work. It was a bit too long. So instead, I stamped out the word hello. And I used the Olympia teal ink again, just to bring in that color and bring some of it over to the right side of this layout. The stats page, or not stats page, the date page, the stamped date page, is going to go on the back side of a full page photo. The full page photo is going to be the first thing that you see when you open up this album, and it's going to be underneath the transparency that says something along the lines of, stay magical or something like that. So I did go ahead and adhere the photo and the stamped date page back to back. I then went to hole punch it, but it wouldn't fit inside of my 6-hole punch. So I used my Crocodile or my Power Punch instead. The Power Punch has slightly bigger holes, so it's easier to flip the pages back and forth versus the Crocodile. So that's why I chose the Power Punch there. And then I am sticking it in the album, putting the cards down inside of their pockets. I probably could have trimmed that hello card just a little bit to make it fit nicer, but it's fine. It's in there and it doesn't warp the plastic at all, so I'm just going to leave it. So then we're going to flip past the layout that I already had completed in this album, and we're going to move on to the next story that's going to go inside of the newborn section. This one was inspired by an acrylic piece from Colorcast Designs. This came in one of the subscription kits from last summer, and it says Pure Joy. So I thought that that would be really a good title piece to talk about bringing Mabel home from the hospital. So I had reached out to my sister-in-law a couple months after she had Mabel when I had started this album, and I asked her to send me some journaling about how it felt to bring Mabel home for the very first time. So in the card at the bottom that says memories, I've added her journaling there. And then I also have this floral card that I decided to add a chipboard piece to that says love this place, I believe. And then I put that in the middle of the card, but decided I wanted it to feel a little bit more substantial. So then I grabbed over one of my circle label sheets from Ali Edwards' Back to Basics collection, stuck the chipboard into the middle of a circle label, and then put that whole thing into the middle of the patterned card. The patterned card and the memories card are both older. I have no idea where they came from. I'm thinking perhaps a Maggie Holmes 12 by 12 paper that had cut aparts for cards. That's what I'm thinking it came from, but it's just been in my stash for a super long time, and it went well with the colors of the Pure Joy acrylic. Then for the Pure Joy acrylic, I just put a little bit of the roller adhesive on the back of that, stuck it down on top of the photo. When sticking anything on top of photo paper, it just like really sticks. So I don't have to worry too much about putting super strong adhesive. It's going to be totally fine. And then I had also cut out a piece of pattern paper at 3 inches by 8 inches to put on the back side of that photo as a conclusion for the newborn. We're in the newborn section. So now we're going to move into 1 month, and you're going to see a repetitive element here throughout the rest of this album. I had purchased a couple packs of these plastic numbers. So they are a gray number with a white outline. Those were from Week in the Life in 2020. I think it was 2020. I'm pretty sure it was either 2019 or 2020, but I'm pretty sure it was 2020. And I purchased a bunch of them because I knew I wanted to use those as title pieces for each month inside of this album. So I have them from 1 month all the way up to 12 months, and those I'm going to add on top of the plastic transparency dividers. So I will do that here in a second. I don't think I have done it yet. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get all of my stamping done. This page right here is just a filler page. I needed something extra to go inside of my album here so that it would help with the flow. So one of the questions I ask in all of the monthly stats from here on out is 3 words to describe Mabel at that time or at that moment. So in the first month of her life, my sister-in-law had used the words beautiful, sweet, and hangry to describe Mabel. So I'm going to repeat stamp those 3 words on this blank page. This is just a piece of white cardstock that I cut down again to the 3.875 by 8.25. And I decided to use a rainbow of colors so that it wasn't too gender specific. I wanted this to just feel really neutral, but at the same time, bright and cheerful and colorful, because a lot of the pictures from this time are a bit more muted down. So I love the way that it turned out with all of those colors. I'm just using the Ali Edwards Crafters ink. And then I'm going to use the pink again here at the top to stamp out 1 month or 1 MO period for the title piece on the stats. And then I will realize very shortly here that I printed my text way too wide on this piece of paper, that when I go to actually hole punch it and put it into the album, it's not going to fit without tearing out or punching out a bunch of the words, and I don't like that. So I will eventually go to my desk and reprint the stats sheet so I can come back and put it in the album without ruining the text. Again, the stamped page and the 1 month photo are going back to back in the album. So I went ahead and adhered them together, hole punched them, and then that's going to go inside of the album with the transparency on top. I did consider using one of these strips, and you'll actually see that I will adhere it down and think that, okay, you know, this is great, it's going to work out and I won't have to change anything on this. But then when I put it in the album later, it sticks way out. Like the paper would come out of the album, if that makes, you'll see when I put it in there. So that definitely didn't work. Okay, so last but not least, we're going to create the transparency here. This is the number 1. So eventually when we get to the double digits, it will go over more of the transparency, but I want these single digits to go over top of the edge of the transparency, because the transparencies are not as wide as some of my pages. So this is going to help fill in a little bit of that blank space. And then once I have that on there, I'm just stapling it on so we don't have to see any of the adhesive. I then pulled over my stack of tiny phrase stickers. I'm going to layer a couple of them here on the transparency, and then decide I want something else. So I'm going to grab these star chipboard stickers from Ali Edwards. I believe these were December Daily from this last year, from 2021. Stick one of those up at the top of the layered or stacked tiny phrase stickers, and then call that done. So now we're going to stick everything back in the album, and this is where you're going to see that the stats page is definitely not going to work. See what I mean? It's longer than or wider than the entire album itself. So I'm going to cut this off and try to think of what else can I possibly do so I don't have to print this again, and then ultimately decide, nope, we're just gonna go reprint it. I would rather it look nice and readable, since this is not technically an album for me. All right, friends, so I did go ahead over to my computer and reprinted out the monthly stats. So I had some room over here to punch my holes without punching through all of the text. So I'm probably going to have to go and adjust all of the months of stats like that, but that's okay. I'm glad to have caught that, and I just would rather be able to read all of it and not have the text obstructed. Okay, so that's going to be it for this first video. We'll do a quick flip through here. So now you can see the title page there, Mabel's newborn picture. There's her birthday, her original stats, the day she was born, hospital, all of that, her little picture from in the hospital. This was the layout that I already had done, which was told from the perspective of us waiting to find out she was born. I have the story of taking her home from the hospital, so journaling from my sister-in-law, pattern paper to end out the newborn section, and then we started in with 1 month. So I've got the 1 month transparency, her picture from 1 month or 1 month old. I've got the stamped out filler page here and the stats. So then next week, we're going to come back and we're going to work on a couple extra stories that will go inside of the 1 month section. And then I believe we'll also get started on 2 months. So that is what we're going to do when we come back. I hope that you enjoyed seeing how all of these pages came together, and I hope this inspires you to pull out some of your unfinished projects so we can all finish what we have started. Until next week, friends, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week ahead, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.